What's happening? This is 9/11, and you are tuned in to AVG Podcast. As always, man, you know how we do it. Let's get to it. So today, man, I am blessed, honored to have, man, somebody from my hometown that's been doing a lot for the community, man. He's youth coach at Strengthening Families Program, resource coordinator at Class Healthy Living for All, manager slash agent at Project Rebuild. Welcome to the show, Jarvis. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. And it's a privilege. I appreciate you inviting me and allowing me to be on this platform, man. I've been watching you and everything you got going on, and it's all positive. It's good, man. Like I say, bro, appreciate you. Thank you for allowing
Man.
me to be here.
Hey, I appreciate that, bro, man. So just to let people know, I didn't mention in the intro that you got a Stop the Fent movement. You're doing a lot around the community. Like I say, positive things. You do community outreach. Everybody know you through the city for what you're doing. But
Yeah.
what inspired the Stop the Fent movement?
So actually how all of that went about was me and Dominique Teasley, we was on a training in LA
Gotcha.
last year. And it's really it was inspired and it's for some other people that's located in LA. But while we
Mm,
had some time, we was able to, go sightseeing, hit Holloway on Hollywood Boulevard, go
mm,
shopping, and while we was out there in LA on the strip, we had ran across somebody on the strip with a table and it had
yeah,
nothing but Narcan, stop the fin hats, gear. And we, that's our stuff back up in Alexandria. So we
yeah,
stopped, we chopped it up with them. We let them know what we was doing up in Alexandria, Louisiana, and it inspired them because what they was doing was just hitting the streets, making sure people got stop defense gear, giving them
mm,
Narcan. They were just doing some street work,
yeah,
and once they started realizing, oh, y'all really in agencies, going around in y'all community making a difference.
yeah.
They wanted to connect with us,
That's
and we
good.
we we, we bought some hats from them. Not
Mm,
really seeing what the future was gonna bring, but we
mm,
locked in with them, and then they started calling us, and it was like, man, they want to create like a stop defense South. So
man.
yeah, they said, hey, we like what y'all doing. We've been paying attention. They was following us on social media,
Uh-huh.
and they just shot us a lot of gear out here and was like, do y'all thing. And see what they purpose was they was using the profits from the hat to invest in Narcan because of they overdose crisis up in their area.
Yeah.
And and where we located it, we have access to Narcan that's
Mm-hmm.
provided by the state for free. So I'm like, and me and Dominique like, man, they really shouldn't be buying this Narcan when they can connect with a certain agency up in their state, like we
Mm-hmm.
connect with agencies up in our state.
Gotcha.
Um, and the money that they getting from the hats can be used to invest in they whatever they trying to do, with the stop the fent. And so we
Yeah.
just built the relationship with them, and that's it, bro. We just started it, and what it is a movement. It is a
Yeah.
movement. Stop the fent movement. The way of going about it is like everybody can be a part of this campaign. Like for you to buy a hat or for you to wear a shirt or for you to connect with Stop the Fent, it's like you a walking billboard.
Ain't it, man?
Because everybody has been affected in some way by the fentanyl opioid crisis, on overdoses and everything that's going on in our community. So a lot of
Yeah.
people can relate, even if you don't have no addiction, substance misuse background,
Mm,
family, friends, neighbors, community. We all have been affected. So we just wanted to get on board and be a part of something that was positive, and it's just been going good ever since, man. We just been making sure we try to keep as much gear as possible.
mm,
Inform people of what's really going on with the stop the fin. And a lot of times they create these conversations that we normally don't even have. They see some trucker hats with stop the fin. They know what fin is.
mm,
Sometimes people are so out of touch with how it's affecting the community. So we able to like give them some information, maybe educate them a little bit. Also like
mm,
let them know about Narcan, how it's the
mm,
over overdose reversal drug. Let them know how to use it the right way.
mm.
And now they're advocates. Now they're campaigning. Now they're part of this movement. And
That's
we
live.
hope we hoping that like we done sent hats all the way to New York. We done sent
That's
hats to
good.
Atlanta, to
Yeah.
Kentucky to Texas. Like people are jumping on board, and what we hope is those people can start doing the same thing that we doing because we
Mhm.
doing the same thing that they doing in LA.
That's what's up. And look, man, you touched on a lot of key points right there, man. To let people know, when you say our hometown, Alexandria, Louisiana, we're a small city, man, but we got a lot of big city movement in our city, man. So
Yeah,
it's one of them cities you can come there and it might look slow, but it's a lot going on behind the scenes.
right,
So to
right,
show how you tapped in with other cities, larger cities, and they still having the same problem. That's deep to let you know it does touch everybody. But to piggyback off that, when did you notice like around the city? Because like to me before I left, it really wasn't that was on the streets that what we was doing. You know, people was sipping syrup, sipping drink. You know,
right.
we had the pills and stuff like that. But some way after I left and came back, I started hearing it more, and it was like a snowball effect. I kind of started hearing a little bit of it, then it just before I knew it, it was like boom. When did
Yeah.
you first notice it was like a real problem around the city?
Well, I guess between maybe 2014, we had started seeing and having access to more like heroin. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Roxas was out on the scene, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe like we started seeing more of that because it was a big people started being aware of big pharma, how the pill, the pills, when people was running the pills back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
they started shutting down, and big pharma had started getting a lot of heat from the doctors and the pharmacists. So I think when they kind of shut that avenue down, avenue for heroin kind of opened up, and you started seeing more heroin on the street. And then a
Yeah.
little bit later, I think maybe like for me, being able to recognize like on maybe 16, 17, 2018, we started hearing about this stuff called fentanyl. Which we heard of certain fentanyl before, like the
Mm-hmm.
fentanyl patches and stuff, but we started
Yeah.
seeing this powdered form of fentanyl. And for the
That,
most part, people was using it to like cut the heroin. And
mm-hmm.
then it came to a point where people started realizing like how or experiencing how addictive this fentanyl is.
Mm-hmm.
More people started just wanting fentanyl instead of heroin and fentanyl. And I say around 2020, it was
Mm-hmm.
just everybody started seeing the effects of fentanyl. Like I talked to Dominique and other people in my neighborhood and people that's close to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like in the last 5 years, from 2020 to right now, I
Mm-hmm.
have literally been to more funerals than I
Man,
have been to in my entire life.
real shit.
So we started seeing the effects of fentanyl and how people started just overdosing, people started dying. Then we started
Mm-hmm.
seeing laws changed when it come to fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
It just been bad, around here. And it got some other things that are starting to come up too. And
Mm-hmm.
with cutting the drugs, like some called xylazine. Like people focused on fentanyl and it is a
Yeah.
crisis, but we got other things like xylazine, which is a tranquilizer, that's
Yeah.
being put into the fentanyl. And
Damn.
and it's just more and more things are being put into these supplies, and people in the community they the ones who getting the result of it, not being able to recover, not having
Yeah.
access to certain, resources, dying. You
Yeah.
start seeing behaviors, like with the crime. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's all a domino effect, man. Yeah.
Gotcha. And, man, shout out. I know you mentioned Dominique a couple times.
Yeah.
Shout out Dominique. I'm gonna get him on too, cause man, I know y'all a tandem, man. Y'all do a lot of stuff together, and man. I just want to big up both of y'all, man.
Thank
Now
you.
that you bring up, like you say, it's new stuff on the streets. And sometimes, with older cats, they already kind of headed in one direction. They might be playing in the streets a little bit and kind of already get caught. But what you think is a good age to try to intercept kids before they start taking that route? I know preteen, teen, I saw seeing on the news out here because they got a crisis out here in Dallas where they
Yeah.
was bringing it as maybe as young as sixth grade. They were starting to tell people on the news, hey, watch, start educating your kids. But somebody that's really doing groundwork with it, man, what do you think is a good age group to start really educating your kids on what it can do?
I my belief on what I feel because of what I see, um, I believe it the younger they are, the better it is, you know. And I'm saying that because, like you had mentioned, like I work with strengthening families. I work with Dr. Keith Fox with strengthening families. It's a
Mm-hmm.
program that was funded by Rat Peace Foundation here in Alexandria, and we work with the youth. And what we doing with strengthening families is making sure with a lot of the at-risk youth, you always
Mm-hmm.
see these programs that's focused on just getting the youth situated. But we
Mm-hmm.
realize, like, if you bring the whole entire family together, you'll get some better results. Because these
Yeah.
kids that you done did interventions with and counseling with, when they lead a session or lead a program, they got to go right back home to the parents or the community. And, they might not be able to utilize those skills as good as you would want them to. So we
Yeah.
got this strengthening family things down here. And I deal with the youth from probably the age 12 to 17, but we
Mm-hmm.
also have a class that where the coaches deal with the kids that's from the age of 6 to 11. And
Damn.
our thing is like you need to have these conversations because if you not having a conversation with them,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else will be having a conversation with them, and they may
Fact.
not be getting the right information. They may not
Fact.
be getting the truth. They may
Mm-hmm.
not be getting educated on exactly what's going on, So
Yeah.
even though it's uncomfortable, even
Mm-hmm.
though we feel like it's not my baby, they good or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, they are around, they in school, they in certain environments where conversations are being had. Again, it affects the entire family, so they can be in a house with somebody who is experiencing addiction or alcoholism, right?
Yeah.
And I say this a lot in my community, especially culturally, we have been taught like what goes on in this house stays in this house, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
Facts. Yeah.
we've been taught we don't be talking about nothing like addiction. We don't discuss mental health, depression. It's a lot of
Man.
things that are taboo, but I believe that you have to have these conversations at an early age because they are going to experience, they're going to come in contact with all this stuff we dealing with today. So,
Mm-hmm.
get comfortable having these conversations. And it's good
Yeah.
to have a program like Strengthening Families where it brings the child or the youth and the parents together in one setting and they both being educated. They both learning skills. They both learning how to communicate. They both learning each other, because for example, with my situation, I was always present in the house. If I wasn't in prison or something like that, like I was always present,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't having those conversations. I didn't realize till later on in life, like the last 5 years, I
Mm-hmm.
never knew what my oldest son' favorite color was, what music he liked,
Yeah.
his interests, on what degree he wanted. Like it's conversations that I never had with my son that I'm realizing, like, man, I missed a lot of stuff dealing with him. You know,
Yeah.
I was expecting him to learn from my mistakes, right? But at the same
Yeah.
time, I wasn't having conversations. I wasn't showing him what to do. I was just expecting him just to know based off of me, don't do these type of things. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case, man. We have to have
Yeah.
these conversations with our youth.
Man, you know what our parents used to raise up on? Don't do as I do what I say do. We expect them, to watch us and just, hey, you see me trip over this branch, don't you go this way and trip over this
Right.
branch.
Right. And that's crazy because like with me today, I look at it differently. Back then I
Man,
understand.
I
But
understood.
curiosity kill a cat. And
Boy,
a lot of times I have to go through my own experience. That way I
mm-hmm.
can even know what you're talking about. That way,
Yeah,
I know why my daddy told me not to do this now, because I
yeah,
touched the iron.
yeah.
But so we gotta always, we gotta be an example. We have to show them better than we can tell them, like because
Mhm.
that's it. They are soaking up and observing all of our actions, all of
Everything.
our moves, how we do in a relationship, like if we
Man,
are smoking weed, drinking, smoking cigarettes, unhealthy behavior, they looking and they soaking all this stuff up, man.
yep.
Yeah.
Hey boy, you hit on so much important stuff right there. So how long have you been one of the advocates? I know you said you went to LA and that's kind of where it jump started, but how long have you been doing the stuff in the city with the programs as far as with the families and bringing the family? How long have you been working in that wheelhouse?
Okay, so we've been doing it for the last 2 years to strengthen families, but I started, I guess, back in 2018. That's whenever I finally I was encouraged or motivated to go to treatment because of
Mm-hmm.
all these outside situations that was going on with me dealing with
Mm-hmm.
the judicial system. I was and I'm gonna just tell you, I was resistant to it at first, but I was motivated because I didn't want to go do the time that was on the table. I say, let me give myself an opportunity. I went to treatment. I connected with people like Dominique. I'm bring him up a lot because he a part of my story. He
Hey,
the
it's a real dude. Yeah.
yeah, he the reason that I connected to something that I needed, and he made it easy for me to connect because I knew him and I knew his walk. I knew him
Yeah.
his whole life and I seen the change. So it was attractive to me. So I just connected with him. So once I got clean and once I stopped using drugs, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that's only, a start of the problem. I didn't realize like I had to change some behaviors and some actions too. So
Yeah.
I was still out there moving a certain way, but just not using. So I really was starting to create some issues for myself that was bigger than whenever I was using. Cause I started realizing, like, man, even without the drugs and all that other stuff, shoot, I still can tell some stuff. I end
Ain't
up
a
on. I end up like getting connected to some programs. I got some mentors. I got a sponsor. I started doing like some community work,
mm-hmm.
and I ended up going to school to be a counselor in training because people started seeing that like how I dealt with people, it'd probably be good that I get into this field. And I
Yeah.
became a counselor. I started working at a treatment facility.
Mm-hmm.
Um then next thing you know, the agency I'm with right now, Class Healthy Living for All, they hired me to do outreach in the community, like go out, let people know about the work they doing at the agency.
Mm-hmm.
Um connect with people on the ground. And then I got hired to work also at drug court as a substance abuse counselor. And I started like seeing the people that was right there in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
They coming straight from jail, coming into a program. So all this stuff was going on with me being connected with people and
Mm-hmm.
people that was just like me. And I was able to assist them, support them, and advocate for them. And what it did for me, it just gave me a sense of value, a sense of purpose. It was very fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Not every I didn't see everybody change their life, but I seen a
Yeah.
lot of people change their life. A lot of people change, start progressing in life, started getting jobs, started being like positive people in their community. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
I just knew, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be at.
Own it,
This is what
sir.
I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be a part of. And next thing you know, somebody reached out to us about strengthening families about 2 years ago. They trained us, and I just been doing it part time ever since. Cause not on I like to connect with the youth. Like
Yeah.
even though I work with adults every day, like I want to connect with the youth because I understand like from my youth how it was a lot of stuff that was missing on my end. And if I can be that person to connect with them right now and connect them to resources or just listen to them, man, that's big. That's very big.
Man, look, it's two things you said, man, that's really biblical, man. Like connected with the youth. You know, my dad was a preacher. He always with the youth was his thing. Like he
Yeah,
loved kids, and man, but he would always say, "Bend the sap while they're young, because when they old, you know what I'm saying. You can't do nothing with them. People can
right,
shake back, but you
right.
instill those values. You had that groundwork done. So that was one thing you said that was major, and it was another thing you said, man, when you was talking about just the well, this was when you kind of talked about the community part of it. When you see the community, and because I know it's hard when you deal with people like from one aspect, and then you switch up or you changed up for the better, and the same people that was around you for the what they thought was a good time. How hard was it to separate that once you got into that lane?
Man, so it was difficult at first. It was
Mm-hmm.
difficult because I thought I had old, I felt like I owed people. I felt like I didn't want to
Survivor's
be
guilt.
seen like right, yes, yeah, like survival remorse. Like I felt like I owed certain people certain things. I felt like I didn't want people to change,
Yeah.
to think that I changed, right? Um
Mm-hmm.
but again, my first 18 months clean and sober, I was still in the streets. And then I ended up catching some consequences because I didn't change. I didn't disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was doing some positive stuff, when I'm done with it, I'm back on the corner of Warshawn Overton, back on the corner of Colonial and Monroe. I'm back in certain areas that really, with the work I'm doing, I don't need to be in, and I end up having some consequences because of that. And once I got those consequences, I remember I started sitting back and I started thinking like, you done did too much for you to be at jeopardy of losing your freedom.
Yeah.
You really don't owe nobody anything. And I just came to grips with it, man. And I had promised myself and God, I made a promise, say, look, no matter what's going on, I'm not hustling no more. I'm not
Mhm.
dealing with nothing, dealing with substance abuse, drugs, nothing illegal. And I went through like 4 months of being depressed because I didn't have no action. Because
Mhm.
I was used to this certain lifestyle. And but
Yeah.
after I went through that process, man, I'm talking about because I meant what I said, I wasn't doing nothing illegal no more. I wasn't
Yeah.
doing no hustling. I wasn't connecting with certain people no more. Once I proved that,
Mhm.
doors started opening. That's when I started getting jobs and started getting opportunities. And like my intentions started matching up with my actions. A lot of times I have the best intentions in the world, but my actions are doing something else. So
Yeah.
I think that's when my entire life pivoted and changed for the best whenever my intentions literally started in lining with my actions. So
Yeah.
and what I learned was they say this a lot in certain programs in different places, like changing people, places, and things.
Mhm.
What I learned was once you start changing your behavior, once you start changing how you think and look at things, automatically you don't have to put no energy into changing nothing. Those people, places, and things are gonna change because my conversation is about something productive and positive now. If I'm
Yes,
t-
Lord.
if I show up on the block right now and I start talking about meetings and I start talking about strengthening families, if I start talking about being clean and sober, them people go move away from me. I ain't gotta
Hey.
move away from them
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so
Mhm.
I'm not going to certain places because I'm not involved with certain behaviors no more or
Yeah.
certain activities no more. So those things started changing for me, and I started seeing also on the other end a lot of people that I didn't want to leave. They started
Mhm.
reaching out to me because they seen that it was possible. They started
Mhm.
seeing a change in my life. I was an example, and they knew I
Yeah.
don't judge. I don't do no judging. I understand the
None of that.
struggle.
Yeah.
um, they just started reaching out to me like, how can I get the treatment? How can I become a part of something? How can I do
Mhm.
something that's positive? And we just started connecting people. We got this thing started, and it was one of his dreams, and it became something big called Project Rebuild.
Yeah.
And with Project Rebuild, all we do is like people coming out of jail, some people coming out of treatment.
Mhm.
Even if you haven't been to those things, but you working towards advancement, you working towards changing your life. Like we'll connect with you and we'll provide you with certain resources to make that a little bit easier for you. And he showed me that when I first got connected. He showed me like sometimes you can tell people like this where you go get this resource, this is what you need to do, this is how you do it. I'm the type of person you have to literally grab hold of me and walk me through that process.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. We grab hold of people and we walk them through the process. So they don't, a lot of times people not good with directions. You got to show them what's up. Like so.
Hands on. For
Your
real.
hands, you have to be hands on with people like myself. So it's all
Yeah.
good, man.
And look, this is what I was thinking about earlier. You giving me so much good information. I had lost my train of thought, but the other one, because you just said it again, how you have to take some people and like you say, you might not get everybody. Like that another old church song. If I can help one person, you keep
Is
tears
it?
out of one mama eye, keep one husband alive. You know what I'm saying? That's major change right there. And y'all have already surpassed that. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you what else, man. STF, strengthen the family. Y'all got built in. You know what I'm saying? Y'all
yeah,
got built in movements with
yeah,
already branching off what you're going on. But I
yeah,
wanted to ask you, like you were saying, it's hard, when you go back to the block, it shake people when you start talking about cleaning up and trying to head in a positive route. And you said something earlier, man. I used to call my dad, and it's like every time I call, it'll be 2 or 3 people die within a week, but it'll
yeah,
be sometimes from the same camp. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah.
damn, you just seen your partner
Right.
go out and from what you're doing, and you go back to the same. So that's kind of what I was confused about. Like, man, how hard is it once you really make that change, when you got people around you that you see falling off, that you still won't just walk away and say, man, look, I
Yeah,
got to know when to fold.
yeah, man. And so addiction is very serious, man. And
Mm-hmm.
and people are addicted to, many things. So, but when it come down to like drugs or certain substances, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to a certain lifestyle, that's an addiction too. Like it's very, very difficult, you know. And
Yeah.
so if you actively are engaged in an active addiction, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what's going on around you, you can see people dying from the same things you dying from, you know. But if you don't get no help for that addiction, it's not gonna change anything because a lot of people are physically addicted, you know, mentally
Yeah.
addicted. Like, and these things are coping tools. Like,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though it's destroying their life, even though people, it's chaotic. Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever they do in that moment, it's a coping tool, and it does help them with something, you know. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times we like to disconnect, we don't like to feel nothing, we want to be
Mm-hmm.
numb. Our life be
Mm.
so chaotic. We got
Yeah.
so much pain inside of us. If we can
Yeah.
use something outside of ourselves for 5 minutes that'll make me disconnect from that pain, we gonna do that. So
Ooh.
even though my partner just overdosed from some fentanyl, guess
Mm.
what? I got so much pain going on. I'm gonna use that same fentanyl to cover up the pain that my partner died.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah, you
That's
know,
deep.
so
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle that our people are caught up in, you know. So I just want to make sure I create like a safe, non-judgmental environment, right? A
Yeah.
space where I'm not pushing nothing on you, but
Mm-hmm.
guess what? You know that if you need some help, support, or assistance, I'm gonna be there to
I'm
assist you
there.
in, you know.
Yeah.
And then also when I create this safe environment that's non-judgmental, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people take the opportunity just based off of their space to
Mm-hmm.
open up and let you know what they're struggling with. So now I know how I can help you.
Exactly.
Up in rooms in certain places, people say, man, we need to find solutions to problems, right? But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our people don't even know what the problem is, so how can they identify what a solution is? So we
Boy.
need spaces where we can identify problems. We can see stuff going on in the community. We know it's
Yeah.
bad, but the
Yeah.
individual have to be able to see the problem that's really going on with them, you know?
Thanks. Well, you dropping so many jewels. You hit on something just now, made me think about I know you probably seen the air all hustlers, old school cats that seen the movie Paid in Full. When what Mitch say, he was addicted to hustling. He was like, man,
Exactly.
if I leave the game, they still gonna cheer for me, man. So it's different type of addictions. Like you touched on just the
Yeah.
lifestyle. Like you say, you ain't had no action. So
Yeah.
it's different type of addictions out there. People gotta understand that you will get addicted no matter what.
Yeah. So at least if we go, so for me, I've identified like
Mm-hmm.
my past. I'm in therapy still. I
Mm-hmm.
still go to self-help groups. I still take the time to look at myself and see what I can do to grow more.
Mm-hmm.
How I can help people, how I can, like change. I'm still doing that type of work, even though I got 7 years um away from drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So during the process, I realized when I was young, it was some things that I wasn't getting. Like I wanted to feel like I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I needed attention. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be, I didn't want to be judged. I wanted to be understood. It was a bunch of things internally that I needed that I wasn't getting or I thought I wasn't getting in
Yeah.
a healthy. So I went and got it in a negative way because I can
Yeah.
get all
Yeah.
those things in the streets from using drugs,
Mhm.
from toxic relationships and other behaviors, right? So
Thanks.
what I learned was, okay, I know I'm getting it in an unhealthy way. How can I
Mhm.
still feel and get these things I need, but in a positive way? So I'm not in the streets hustling and selling no more and taking away from my community. I'm in the streets not giving to my community, but
Man.
I still feel a part of my community. I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm of value to my community. The same stuff when I was out there selling drugs. I
Yeah.
feel that same connection, but it's giving back instead of taking from my community.
Yeah. Different rush. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I feel you. Now look, you we talked about, how it hit Alexandria, and I don't even know if the A was really ready for it at the time that it did hit. But now in the place where we are now, and I know you probably already, speak to city officials and stuff like that around the community because I know they tap in with positive programs. But from a legislative standpoint, I know you say some laws have been changed. Is it anything do you think that can be done from a legislative standpoint that can help out what y'all doing maybe at a higher level, judicial level?
Man, it's so much going on. Like some of these laws have been created.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So we got some harsh laws, especially when it comes to fentanyl, right? So
Mm.
if you get caught with a certain amount of fentanyl, you can do anything from 5 to life right now, so they are some harsh laws. And I got
Let me
my
ask you this though. Let me ask you
Mhm.
this. Do you feel like the harsh laws are more for the, because like when you enforce harsh laws, the thing that kind of make me weary about it, we need the laws, but the person that's trying to get caught, like they not getting caught up with like small amounts and getting them threw away, and there's people that maybe could change. They the end user, they not the supplier, or is the harsher laws for like bigger shipments, bigger product movement, stuff like that?
Man, it's harsh laws all the way up, all the way
Mm,
around. And like I
gotcha.
feel that because I know that people that look like me gonna be affected more.
Ain't
And,
it?
and these same people that look like me, a lot of them are dealing with lifestyle addictions and substance abuse addictions, right? And a lot of
Yeah.
times they in survival mode, right? So their
Mhm.
intentions are to harm or kill. Their intentions are to survive. And a lot of
Mhm.
times they haven't even had the resources provided to them to not do what they doing. A lot of them
Mhm.
haven't had things for prevention, substance abuse
Exactly.
programs,
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
A lot of them haven't had these opportunities, and once they get caught with certain things, now they have these consequences that's so harsh they may not see the light of day no more, right?
Take back. Ain't it
Yep.
mine?
So like I say, I understand because it is a
Mm-hmm.
crisis for fentanyl and overdoses and opioid. I understand the laws and why they are being created, but I also see the effects of it. And I know it's affecting more people that look like me. So I'm just wishing that, they can start assessing the situation or the individual, by individual case, looking at it like for what it really is. Like, is this somebody out here and that's all, or is this somebody that need substance abuse treatment,
Yeah.
And we talk
Yeah.
about rehabilitation all day long, but
Mm-hmm.
the people in my community haven't been habilitated to get rehabilitation.
Man,
Like like my
for real.
people
Boy, that's deep.
don't talk about treatment, don't talk about
Yeah.
addiction, don't talk about mental health, don't talk about
Yeah.
trauma, don't talk about depression. My people are just surviving, and how they surviving, you just see what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
really you don't understand this stuff that's really going on. And I think if they had access to that type of stuff, some
Yeah.
prevention, some treatment, we'll
Mm-hmm.
see a difference, But I do understand why the laws
Yeah.
are that way. And our people don't really have enough time because they
Mm-hmm.
surviving. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
enough time to sit down, process their decisions, see that if they sell this, they possibly can get this. Like they just out there going with the flow, moving. They ain't been still long enough to realize like this is a consequence. This can be the outcome. We talk
Yeah.
to kids in high schools. We done been to junior high schools. We done been in the jails, and
Mm-hmm.
it always hindsight 2020. I see that I shouldn't have, like
Mm-hmm.
and they go back to that at the beginning. These conversations wasn't had before they got the consequence.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts. Yeah.
yeah.
So look, now that we've talked about the substance abuse aspect of it, like you did mention, it is Men's Mental Health Month. Um, how big? Because again, like you've been saying, it's taboo in our community, man. You ask a man, especially a black man from the hood, if you just want to keep adding on to
Right.
it, you ask the average black man, I'm good. What's happening, bro? I'm good. Yeah. I mean, he ain't gonna never give you no problem because that's how we
Right.
program. What are some things that we could do in our community as far as like, man, brother to brother sometime, man? Just try to get people to shake out that I'm good aspect. Because we say I'm good even when we broke down inside.
Yeah, I think it just have to meet people where they at.
Yeah.
Meet people where they at. Don't be too pushy on them,
Mm-hmm.
Just be there as out of support. And we can know things are going on and they not communicating what's really going on. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if we stick by 'em and just be present with them, um eventually once they start seeing like, oh, I can trust him, or I can, or when I do tell him something, I'm not being judged, or I do feel like, this a safe space, like the
Mm-hmm.
more somebody will open up, the
Yeah.
more people will get vulnerable with you. And you right, from my community, a black male, I was just taught like keep everything in because that's a form of weakness. If you tell
Weakness,
somebody,
horrible.
they can use that against you. All right.
Ain't it, man?
They can use that against you. I didn't even know. I found out later in life that I had depression, diagnosed with
Yeah,
depression. But I
yeah.
found out that I had depression probably my whole life.
Early
But
on, yeah.
but not to talk about my father, it's because he wasn't educated or knew either. But my
Yeah.
daddy used to say, stop being lazy. Get up. Do
Mm-hmm.
something. But he didn't never say he might have depression. Let's figure out if we can get him an appointment to see somebody. You
Ain't it,
know,
man?
like
Yeah.
so I've learned I've learned through my experience and being educated like how we can make sure people identify like, oh no, it's not just, you feeling like you lazy or you don't have
Yeah.
energy. Maybe you have some depression going on, and
Yeah.
that's just it, man. Making sure that people feel like they are not being judged. If I feel like I'm gonna be judged, I'm not gonna tell you nothing. And then
Nothing.
what's worse is I'm the type of person who I already judge myself harshly. So if I'm judging myself harshly, I
Yeah.
automatically think everybody else judging me too. So I have to make sure I have this understanding before I even go come in contact
Boy.
with people.
Yep. And
Yeah.
like you said earlier, too, that trust factor, man. I gotta know if I am confiding in you, man. This ain't gonna spin the block and somebody else is. And you know what I'm saying? Because you might not use it against me, but when you tell that next person, me and them might not have that relationship. So I gotta make sure that it's a me and you conversation. So I'm with you on that.
Hey,
And
also, you probably have to catch them one on one because if you in the community and
yeah,
it's a bunch of us hanging together, we all know
that
we
ain't right.
struggling with something, right? But
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna tell you when I'm around my partners or I'm in a certain environment. I'm not gonna tell you what's really going on. So catching somebody one on one,
Mm,
letting them know that it is a place where they can go, where if they choose to open up or if they
mm,
choose to get help or resources, like that's it. Just give them the information. Be
yeah.
present. Don't judge them. And then whenever that time come, they go think, oh, I remember Jarvis. He aims, yeah, I can go holler at him. Or I remember, like that's how it happens, like. But
Plant that
going into
seed.
the neighborhood, no, they ain't gonna say
No.
nothing because they don't want nobody to know that.
Yeah, ain't it, man? Well, it's a lot of things before you keep dropping jewels, man. Like you were saying, like how early on, like we don't identify because there's a lot that go on, man, in the black community that we're just starting to be more aware of, like mental health. Like we used to come home with bad grades. It wasn't no he might have dyslexia, he might have X, Y, and Z going. It's trying to beat it out you. Well, you can't figure this out. We didn't never have those conversations. And one of the main things I've taken away from you just up until this point is we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable,
That's
having
it.
these conversations that you might not want to look at your kid and have, or having conversations with ourselves sometimes and sitting down and be like, am I really going about this the right way? Because as adults, I know we think we're doing everything right, but sometimes we're not setting the right example. So
Yep.
it's a lot of stuff that you dropping, man, that shit, man. I needed to hear. I appreciate
Yeah.
some of it.
Yeah, at Strengthening Families, we had this one like role play thing that we
Mm-hmm.
do with the especially the teenagers between 12 and 17, and then you might have the caretaker or the parent right there, make them
Mm-hmm.
sit next to each other or look at each other. A lot of times they not even comfortable looking each other in the eyes, and we say,
Man,
like, and that's the person that love you the most, and that you say
most,
you love the most, and you should be more. They can't even look each other in the eyes, or we say, well, tell your mother or tell your father like what you grateful for or how much you respect them or how much you love them because when they with me they telling me all these things about their parents and how good they
mm,
are and how much, but then when I put them in front of each other the parent can't tell the kid and the kid can't tell the parent, right?
man.
I'm like do y'all see the problem? How can we
Yeah,
get comfortable with that uncomfortable? And I'm telling you,
yeah,
once you start having these conversations, that's how you strengthen a family. That's how you build a bond with the people you care about. And
yeah.
through these sessions, eventually you start being able to have those conversations. Like even if it's not up there with us,
Mm,
when you at home, you able to go to your parent and say, look, this what's going on with me, or your parent able to communicate like, hey, I don't use this like I don't want to be bothered. But now it can be
mm,
like, let me tell you why I don't want to be bothered. I had a stressful day. My boss was this.
mm,
I had to get
yeah, yeah.
food. I paying bills that I'm like we have to communicate where everybody can understand like Now I understand why my parents stressed out because they doing all this stuff. Now I understand why my kids are acting or behaving a certain way because they dealing with all this stuff when they leave the house or while they in the house. You know?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
that's major there. And look, I know we've been bringing up Dominique a lot
Yeah.
throughout the episode, man.
Yeah.
So what are some of the long-term goals you and Dominique have around the city, man? I know right now you got all the programs that you're involved with, but just down the line, when you expand more, like what do you guys want to do in the future?
Well, I definitely like might be speaking for 'em, but like with Project Rebuild, definitely want to be able to see um it be something bigger, have a location where people can have access on a daily basis instead of, hitting us up through the phone or through Messenger or when they come in contact. Have a location, a place where people can come and get whatever they need. Have some
Mm,
other people probably working with us, not for us, but with us. As far as me, I got some goals because I didn't even realize it had resources that'll help somebody who have mental health or substance abuse. It's a
mm,
it's a program called Louisiana Rehabilitation Services. And
mm,
if you have like mental health or addiction, they consider that a disability. And you can go connect with this on LRS, Louisiana Rehabilitation Service, and you
mm,
can let them know like some goals you have, whether it be going back to school like I did to become a counselor,
mm,
going to college, opening up your own business, getting a trade, whatever it is, you can go get with these people. They'll create a plan and they'll help you reach that goal, and however much it costs to fund that plan, they got the funds to pay for it. So I utilize these services, and that's how I became a counselor in training. I tested, I ended up
mm.
becoming a registered addiction counselor and got my license, right? So
That's
that
major.
wasn't it. You can go back to them. So I wanted to make sure I went back to school. I'm in my junior year at Northwestern to be a social worker because I had identified while working with people with addiction, it got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff going on environmental, socially, in the community, like bigger stuff going on. And I wanted to be able to help people not just with addiction, not just with mental health, but in every aspect. So I went back to school for social work. And my
Yeah.
end goal, my game plan, in the end, I want to be able to have my own like clinic, agency, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, a one-stop shop, where you can get mental health, addiction, you can get medical assistance, you can get whatever it is in one location. And then low threshold. A lot of times people are unhoused, they don't have no insurance, they're not able to get certain resources. So I want to make sure be able to connect or help the people at that level too. They don't have to
Yeah.
have a certain type of insurance to get a certain type of service. They should be able to just get that service just because they some human beings. And I believe like if
Facts.
I keep working or we keep working um with the same type of passion and drive that we have, I know that
Mm-hmm.
in the near future we'll have a place like that where anybody can access any type of help or resources.
Man, hey, that's so live there, bro. Man, before we wrap up, man, is it anything you want to plug? Is it any way people can reach out to you, help, maybe donate, just anything you want to plug, man? The floor yours, man. You done dropped so many jewels today, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. But you can reach me on Facebook. That's my name, Jarvis Fontaine. You can reach me
Mm-hmm.
on IG, message me. If you're in Alexandria, Louisiana, I'm located at 1785 Jackson Street at the building called Class. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can email me. You can call. Our contact number up here is 442-1010. You can reach out to me if you need resources or help. Just ask for me. That's it, man. You can reach Dominique. He on all social media platforms. I always talk. That's my boy. I say he already a superstar. Everybody probably already know how
Yeah.
to access him. But if you need to reach out to him on social media, if you up in Alexandria, we got different things. We got a balance group that we do over here at
Mm-hmm.
class. It's
Mm-hmm.
on Mondays and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. And what balance is, it's about those unwanted thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and learning how to navigate through them, how to manage them without moving away from the things you care about. Because if we don't
Yeah.
deal with the stuff that nobody see, that's when you
Mm-hmm.
start seeing us acting out, right? So you don't have to have an addiction problem. You don't have to have mental health. If you just want to have like a support group, people who understand that life be life, you can come connect with us on Mondays and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. at 1785 Jackson Street.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just yeah, that's how you can connect with us if you need to.
Man, look, I'm gonna be running this all through the segment and promoing, putting it out there. But I just want to tell you, man, and I mean this, bro. I have enjoyed. This has been one of my most favorite segments I've done, man. You dropped a lot of information, very inspirational, man. You doing a lot in the community to change lives. A lot of people, it's a lot of lip service. Y'all out there
Mhm.
ground roots, man, and
Yeah.
I respect that, man. Cause it's a
Hey.
lot of people that might have more resources to do what y'all doing, but sitting back and just looking. So to see y'all out there, man, making do with what y'all have, touching so many lives, impacting so many people, man, that's major. And
Thank you, bro. Hey,
just from
I
the show, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
look, I learned, bro, from the beginning when I first got into the position that I am, when I first started seeing people like people really came, connected with me and walked me through the process and made me feel like, hey, you are of value. It's more, you don't have to settle for less. You don't have to just be this. You're capable of doing all these different things. And they started pointing to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm where I'm at today because of
Yeah,
God and people working in my life. But so now I know that I have to work with people. I have to pour into people. Like the same stuff that was done for me, I'm obligated to do it for somebody else, brother. Yeah.
man, that's deep. And look, we're gonna end it like this, man. For y'all
Cool.
that don't know what that AVG stand for, man, that's accomplished visualized goals. And you epitomize that, your movement, Dominique, y'all movement. It's accomplishing visualized goals. So man, I'm definitely was honored to have you on today, man. And looking for, like I told you, we already chopped it up. You're gonna spin the
Yeah.
block back on black. Block is hot. We're gonna let your
Okay.
hair down a little bit,
All right.
just kick it on that one. But man, I
Already.
appreciate you taking the time to stop in with me today, man. And always visualize your goals. After that,
Hey,
accomplish those
appreciate you.
visualized goals. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, bro.
9/11, Jarvis, man. We out. One.